Welcome to your beautiful new garage from System 3. This video will walk you through the application of our showroom garage floor epoxy system to help ensure that you get a fantastic result. This video assumes a few things, namely that you've cleaned out your garage thoroughly, the weather outside is moderate, and that you have all the required tools and materials ready to do the job. We're also going to assume that you've tested the moisture content of your concrete to confirm that your floor is a suitable candidate for an epoxy coating. Our written instructions have everything you need to know before you get started, so make sure to give that a read. You can find them at system3.com. With that, let's dig in. The first step in a successful application of your showroom system is adequate surface preparation. In most scenarios, we recommend diamond grinding your surface to promote maximum adhesion. Safety first. Make sure to wear safety glasses and a properly fitted NIOSH respirator when grinding your floor. Avoid cheap dust masks as they offer little protection from hazardous concrete dust. Now, the most economical way to grind your concrete floors is to rent the 25 grit Dymabrush Floor Prep tool attachment and a 17-inch slow-speed floor buffer. This setup is available at most Home Depot tool rental outlets. Since the floor buffer and Dymabrush cannot get up to the very edge of the pad, 2 to 3 inches away, you will also need a handheld angle grinder outfitted with a diamond grinding wheel. We highly suggest purchasing a dust shroud for the grinder. A standard shop vacuum attaches to the shroud and significantly reduces airborne concrete dust. We have found that the best way to get a thorough, even grind is to divide your floor into sections before you get started. This will help you progress methodically, one section at a time. Move the buffer in a circular manner, overlapping previous work as you go. The goal should be to achieve an even, light-colored appearance throughout. Hairline or narrow cracks should be widened with the angle grinder and a thin diamond blade. The wider profile promotes greater adhesion of the epoxy concrete patch. System 3 concrete patch should be used to fill in cracks after grinding, plus any other imperfections that might exist on your floor. This waterproof epoxy patching compound mixes and spreads easily and can be sanded in just a few hours. Your floor is prepped. Congratulations. The toughest part of the project is over. Now let's get your supplies set up to make sure the rest of your project goes smoothly. But before we get into the application, let's take a look at your garage door. Leaving your garage door up for 4 to 5 days is going to allow excess dirt and debris to contaminate your coating. Here is our recommendation for mitigating that issue. Roll out thick plastic sheeting the full length of the garage door plus an extra foot. Cut the plastic to length. Then cut the plastic approximately 36 inches in width. Center the plastic sheet so that each end of the plastic extends 6 inches beyond the garage door opening on each side. From outside the garage, use a putty knife or spatula to push the plastic through the half-inch gap in the door. Do not use your fingers for this to avoid getting pinched. From inside the garage, pull the plastic through the gap a few inches. Secure the plastic to the backside of the door with masking tape. With this in place, you'll be able to lower the garage door to rest on vice grips at the end of the day and keep your garage free from debris. Now you're ready to coat. Like I mentioned earlier, time this part well. You'll want to coat when it's less than 85 degrees Fahrenheit outside, but you'll also want to avoid applying the epoxy under direct sunlight. Especially for the prime coat, when the concrete is most porous after grinding, it's best to apply late in the afternoon so that temperatures are starting to cool. This will prevent air from releasing from the concrete and forming bubbles in your coating. It's also a great idea to lay down a sheet of plastic outside your garage to arrange your tools and to catch any drips. Inside the garage, let's talk a bit about coverage rates. It's a great idea to section off your garage floor so that you distribute the epoxy evenly. Assuming a 400 square foot garage floor, this would mean sections of 120, 140, and 140 square feet. Charging the paint roller will use some epoxy if you're wondering why that first section is smaller in area than the others. Activate only one kit at a time. The more epoxy you mix up at once, the faster it will begin to cure, and we want adequate time to apply our coating. Use the slow speed on your drill mixer too. First, spend 30 seconds mixing your Part A to remix any settled material. Next, pour the hardener into your short-filled container of Part A and mix again for another minute. Scrape the sides of the container with a paint stick to make sure all of the material is getting mixed. Finally, transfer the epoxy to a 5-quart tub. This will make a great container to pour from and give the epoxy one last mix during transfer. Some of the epoxy can also be poured into 1-quart tubs for whoever is doing the cutting in. Now for the fun part. Have your helper start by painting the outside edge of the first section, 3 inches wide next to the walls. If there are expansion joints, paint up to the edges of those as well. Next, establish an imaginary line connecting the back edge of your section and pour the primer evenly along that line. Now, use an 18-inch notched squeegee to evenly spread out the epoxy by pushing the ribbon toward the back wall and then pulling any excess material back toward the imaginary line in an M pattern. Finally, use your 18-inch roller to roll over the epoxy and spread it evenly. Go back across this section with your roller perpendicularly to ensure even distribution. Repeat this process for the other sections of your floor. Pay attention to the dimensions of your final section. If it's less than 140 square feet, as previously described, apply an appropriate amount of epoxy and avoid getting too much primer on your floor. Day 1 is in the books. Now you can lower the garage door and get ready to come back tomorrow. Alright, we're ready for the base coat. Today is going to be a fun one. Let's blow off the floor and get organized just like we did yesterday. Our application procedure is the same for the base coat that we used yesterday for our primer, so we already know what to do. After the epoxy has been applied, you're ready to cast your flake and then your non-skid. 2 things to keep in mind. 1. Make sure to pick up your feet as you walk around with spikes on to avoid goofing up your epoxy. 2. Spread the flake and non-skid sparingly at first to make sure you get good coverage. Then go back and add more to your liking afterwards. Amazing. Your floor is looking awesome. Day 2 is in the books. Lower the garage door again with your plastic still in place to protect against overnight debris. Some folks are back for day 3. Welcome. We're going to show you how to apply our showroom polyaspartic top coat as well. This coating will provide additional durability and UV protection. You'll want to give the floor a good dust off to get any loose flakes out. Our 1-part polyaspartic top coat goes down similarly to the epoxy coatings, but do be aware that this product contains solvents. As such, you'll want to wear proper safety equipment, including a NIOSH-approved respirator. Maintain adequate ventilation and extinguish any pilot lights during this application as well. Like with our epoxy, section off your garage to ensure an even distribution of your top coat. It has a coverage rate of 200 square feet per gallon, so plan accordingly. Just like with your epoxy coatings, you're going to paint the edges with a brush, then squeegee and roll to cover large areas. Incredible work. You just got a professional caliber job for a fraction of the price, plus a little bit of your own elbow grease. Now you get to enjoy your hard work for years to come and tell your friends that you epoxied like a pro with help from System 3. Congratulations on a job well done.